The number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, according to reports, has reached alarming levels. It is estimated that over 19 million children have no access to formal education. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, states in Nigeria's north have the highest number of out-of-school children in the country. News Central's Umaru Kirawa reports.
The effects of being out of school are devastating for children. They are more likely to be illiterate, unemployed, and live in poverty. They are also more likely to be involved in crime and violence. The northeast of Nigeria has been ravaged by the Boko Haram insurgency for over a decade. The conflict has killed thousands of people, including teachers, and displaced millions more. Children have been particularly hard hit by the violence, who are forced to beg on the streets to survive.
The situation in Nigeria, and especially in Borno State, is embarrassingly mundane that one will even feel shy of mentioning. A lot of children are displaced. According to a UNICEF report, about 10.5 million children are out of school in Nigeria, which is one of the highest numbers across the world.
Even though governments are trying their best to tackle all these issues, but I call on them to double up their efforts.
I learned that the government has created vocational schools for children. So I think the major thing is that government should encourage children to be back to school with such schools, that's vocational schools, and then ensure that their parents and guardians are well informed about the importance of children being in school. And also, the government should discourage street begging.
Data from UNESCO show northern states have the highest out-of-school children in Nigeria. Analysts say the growing number of the children on the street is a time bomb.
It is high time to activate and restore the roles and function of local government. After restoring the roles and function of local government, activate the social welfare departments of the local government. And then the local government should come with a harsh legislation that henceforth nobody is going to take his child outside the community in the name of seeking for Quranic knowledge.
In Borno State, the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency, ultra-modern model schools have been built and massive enrollment commenced, but more still need to be done in terms of retention and provision of entrepreneurial skills.
We have built schools. We are about to employ teachers, more teachers, to cover our deficits. We have put in facility into these schools, and we have enrolled as many students as possible.
We are calling on everybody, not just the government, but we are calling on the general public to join hands together to improve the lives of children in Nigeria.
The government and the non-governmental organization and the private sector should actually pull out resources and strategies in making sure that duty bearers are held accountable, and where capacities need to be built, this is being done.
For sustainable peace and stability, these vulnerable children must be taken off the streets and at least trained and empowered with enterprise and entrepreneurial skills for productive society. That may just be the path to improved and sustained security in the region. Umaru Kirawa, reporting for News Central TV, Maiduguri.
Well, joining us to discuss this is a lecturer, Dr. Zaynab Chellube, of the Department of Pure and Applied Chemistry, University of Maiduguri in Borno State. Doctor, thank you very much for your time. What do you think are the solutions to address the issue of out-of-school children? Like we just heard from that report, it's reaching alarming figures, especially in Nigeria's northeast.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I think with these figures that are being displayed, we can all be on the same page that the rate of out-of-school children is really scary, and it really calls for concern. Well, there are a lot of things that need to be put to make this situation maybe a history. I would also want to add that it's true that we are lagging behind in the Northeast, but I also want to reiterate that we are not where we used to be. We are getting there. Gradually, things are improving, but more needs to be done. Like, just like Professor mentioned, there's a need to actually revitalize all those local governments that have been redundant for so many years, the social welfare of the local governments. And then the roads need to be accessible so that children will feel safe. The security situation needs to be improved. I know that, yes, Alhamdulillah, it is not as bad as it used to be, but it needs to be improved because a lot of parents are scared of sending their children to the school in fear of maybe the children will be kidnapped, then maybe they will be harmed in one way or the other. But when we talk about the state capital, especially from where I'm coming from, that is Maiduguri, there are a lot of facilities, a lot of infrastructure that has been put into place. Then one major thing that needs to be looked upon is the employment of teachers. On that, I would also want to inform you that recently there was a massive recruitment that was happening, trying to see that teachers, the best of the teachers, are being recruited into the system so that the enrollment of children will balance with the teachers' recruitment. There will be enough teachers that will take care of the classes. And then similarly, I think the system also needs to be checked so that when the teachers are being recruited, it's not going to be just for them to be in the system or just to have teachers in the school. But we need to bring back the olden day style, the olden day fashion, the model of recruiting teachers into school so that they could give the best to the children. Then a lot of things, especially the girls, there must be some facilities, the wash facilities, other dignity materials that need to be put so that the girl child will also feel safe being in the school. And then cost, I think the cost of school, also the government, maybe there are some little levies that are also put. Some cannot actually afford those levies as well. So it will be important if the government will think of ways that will waive them off, and also other stakeholders, maybe the NGOs, philanthropies, the private sectors should join hands together with the government to see that they improve the standard of schools. They try to give these parents, guardians, the confidence of having their children be in school and then retained to completion. Thank you.
All right, very interesting, Doctor. We know that during the time of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan as a president of Nigeria, he did, implement what is called the Almajiri school program. This was meant to take kids who are the Almajiris off the streets and keep them in school. Tell us about the current state of those schools.
Well, on that, I think I want to tell you that first and foremost, the Almajiri, we look at it as an informal type of an education. They already have an education, but when we are talking about the Western education, that is them having like the Western part of the education. So what what the government is doing now is to see how they could now, they call it the transition. So some of them having the Quranic background, now they are transitioning into the formal school. And then we have the formalization of those Sangaya system. So that means those Al-Majiri schools, they are also being like formalized, whereby the curriculum, they don't completely neglect them from having their Islamic knowledge or their Quranic knowledge, but rather they incorporate other Western courses, the numeracy, the English, and then the vocational training, and so many other programs that are being incorporated into it. And then some of them are doing very well because the program is being made in a way that it is of different ages. You see that type of informal education, there is no age restriction. You see there are the older ones, there are some that are far from being in primary school. But with the coming of the program, it has been able to categorize them so that they can take different examination at the end of the completion of this basic training that they have. And then from there on, they transition and they get into the formal school. So with that, I want to tell you that they have been doing very well. And then sometimes you will be amazed when you see the performance of these children. The Almajiris that have been roaming on the street now, they have different narrative. They come and then they do very, very well. Sometimes they even do better than those that already have the formal background. But yet, more needs to be done because it's not like it has covered all the Almajiri centers, but they're still working on it. I think a lot of data have been captured, especially in Borno State. There are a lot of programs that have been put into school, into being the NGOs are trying their best, the INGOs are doing their best, the government, I think all have put hands on deck, and then they're improving the system. Thank you.
Doc, you know, we've talked about the role of government, but what about non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, those in the private sector and other stakeholders? What can they do to also support and chip in there a little bit to address this problem of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria?
Thank you. I think they are doing very well. They have been advocating, and then we have a listening government, I think, in the Northeast. They are always listening to the voice of the voiceless through the CSOs. And with the coming of the NGOs, they have done a lot, the INGOs. They have put a lot of materials. They have put a lot of ease in the system. They have improved the livelihoods of people. They have encouraged it. People that were adamant, people that were having strong cultural beliefs against the Western education, now they have loosened up, and then they're encouraging their children to be in school. So they are doing a lot of things. Advocacy is happening every now and then. The government is cooperating. The private sector, they are trying. And I think they are doing wonderfully well.
All right. Dr. Zaynab Chellube, thank you very much for your time and for giving us all the necessary information on the education situation in northeastern Nigeria.